Thank you for signing up to volunteer for the Singapore Maker Extravaganza 2018. Here are some important information for you as you come in as a volunteer for the program. First of all, the dates of the Maker Extravaganza 2018 will be from the 17th to the 19th of August. The venue would be the Community Auditorium at our Tampines Hub. We have some special programs during the extravaganza. On the 17th of August, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. would be the Maker Conference. The Maker Conference is a gathering of practitioners who are into the Maker movement, and this would be in the form of in-depth discussions on various topics that are related to the Maker movement, including education, technology, community building, and so on. The special thing this year is that on the 17th August, which is the Friday afternoon from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we have the Maker Fair Singapore open specifically to students. So all students from preschool to university are welcome to attend, and this is only for pre-registered school groups. On the weekend, 18th to 19th August, the program itself is open to public. Students also can join us during this 2 days if they want to. A little bit on the Maker movement. You should have watched the videos of Maker Fair Singapore as well as the global movement of makers that has been on since 2006. The Maker movement in Singapore kickstarted in 2012 with the organization of the first mini Maker Fair. It has grown steadily over the last 7 years. And in 2017, we organized a large Maker Extravaganza at the Science Center Singapore with a Maker Summit, a conference, as well as a fair. The Maker Fair in 2017 saw the largest number of booths in a Maker Fair with over 400 booths. The Maker Extravaganza is primarily a family-friendly event, and a large percentage of people who come to the extravaganza are people who are looking for opportunities in education. This could be for their own children or for themselves. The amazing thing about the Maker Extravaganza and the Maker movement in Singapore is that there has been a 20-fold growth in 7 years. And this has been shown both by an increase in the number of makers as well as the number of attendees who have attended the fair over the years. The whole idea of Maker Extravaganza and the Maker Fair Singapore is that it would not be possible without the number of supporters, community partners, and organizations that have stepped up to be part of the program for the last 7 years. We have a wide range of makers who take part in the extravaganza. So here are some people who have taken part in the extravaganza last year, and then of course these are some of the people whom you may see again this year. We've got the Go Fly Kite people who actually make kites out of kites using remote controls. We've got people who brought in a robotic arm quilt machine. Here is a lady who came along with a light up LED dress. We've got an amazing project, amazing maker who comes along to do silversmithing. We had people with mechanical toys. So it's an awesome group of people with a very wide range of skills that, as well as a mindset of sharing that gets actually shown during the Maker Fair. So the schedule for this year, as was mentioned earlier, is that the 16th of August is a setup. Here is when makers come and they start setting up their booths, their showcases, and this goes on also on the 17th of August after the students program is over. On the 17th of August itself, we have the Maker Conference, followed by the Maker Fair Students Day, and 18th and 19th of August will be the actual Maker Fair Singapore for the public. Teardown would happen either on Sunday evening. The bigger teardown sometimes can happen on the Monday. So if any of the makers come and ask you whether they can actually put their things there, we are open to this. Maker Faire Singapore, as well as the Maker Extravaganza, the conference itself, are paid events, although they are very heavily community events, so therefore a lot of free tickets are given away to people. So for the public attendee coming to the Maker Conference, there is an admission fee of $200. However, any speakers coming to the conference would be speaking free of charge. There would also be a number of complimentary tickets at the Maker Conference available for sponsors and community partners. This information would be sent separately to the community partners as well as the sponsors. For Maker Faire Singapore itself, there is a fee for a general admission, which is a one-day pass of $10 per adult and $5 per child, and a two-day pass of $15 per adult and $8 per child. Children who are under 3 years of age are free of charge. And the child's age is considered to be from 3 to 12 years old. However, there are a number of people who are eligible for free admission to the Maker Faire. These include makers. However, the number of tickets that are given to makers would be limited to 3 makers per booth, which means that if a maker group is curating a set of, say, 5 booths, they would be eligible for 15 free tickets per day. Because the Maker Faire itself is held in Tampines, we would like to encourage all residents of Tampines to attend the Maker Faire. So all residents of the Tampines area would be attending the fair for free. They would have to present their ID cards at the ticketing booth to ensure that they enjoy the free admission. If they do not have the ID cards that show their address, it's going to be challenging for us to give them the free admission, and so they would have to be charged per general admission rates. Local school groups and preschool groups will enjoy free admission, but note that this is for any school that is based in Singapore, including international schools, that they have to be registered schools. Enrichment centers are not eligible for free admission, nor are schools in Malaysia. Seniors who are age 60 and up will have free admission as well. All volunteers who commit up to 4 hours commit at least 4 hours to work at the fair and complete this online training module will also receive free admission to the fair. What do you need to know as a volunteer? So here are some general questions that you need to understand before coming in as a volunteer for the Maker Extravaganza. Why do people come to the Maker Extravaganza? So there is a very strong, and how many people will be there? What can you expect to see? And what makes the extravaganza so special? So why do people come? First of all, people come because they come to celebrate the Maker in all of us. All of us are people who like to work with our hands, and they come to understand a little bit more about working with the hands, what kind of things you can make, what is the benefit of this, and so on and so forth. How many people will be there? So typically we are expecting this year around more than 300 Maker showcases, as well as around 15,000 visitors at least. What can you expect to see? You can expect to see a wide variety of projects and many different topics, including engineering, craft, robotics, woodworking, metalworking, and much more. What makes the Maker Extravaganza so special is really the spirit of sharing that you can see in the extravaganza itself. But before you come in as a volunteer, there are a few things that you actually need to do. You need to visit the Maker Faire Singapore website, get familiar with what's available, find out what the program is and the schedule is before you come online. So this will help you be a lot more prepared when you are here on during the fair. Like the Facebook page. You can do this right away because we would be posting a lot of regular updates on the Facebook page. Prepare to commit at least 4 hours of your time, and when you fill in the form, fill in and let us know what is the time that you would be committing. Be aware that when you are here during the fair, you may have multiple duties. Some of the duties, we will talk to you about them later. And please be flexible and always ask questions. Here are some of the things that you need to make sure you have before you go on the floor as a volunteer. You need to have a volunteer credential. This would typically be in the form of a tag that you would wear that indicates that you are a volunteer at the fair. Bring along your water bottle. You would be doing a lot of talking. A jacket because the space itself is air conditioned and it might get cold. Long pants, comfortable clothes, and shoes. Bring along a small notepad just in case there are requests or you need to note down something that you need to check with one of the crew. You would be able to remember them by the time you find a crew member. Some of the sample assignments, volunteers are really involved in almost any area of the fair, including setup staff, facilitating activity areas, manning the information booth, check-in of makers, assistance for makers who need somebody to help with their booth. You may be deployed as a general runner to communicate messages. You would be asked to collect feedback. You may be deployed for crowd control, directing traffic, ushering, and so on and so forth. When you come on site for your duty day, arrive at least 15 minutes early. If you have time, tour the grounds. If not, just take a look at the map. Make sure that you know where all the different zones are. Meet the coordinator, the volunteer coordinator. The volunteer coordinator would be typically at the information counter just about 10 to 15 minutes prior to the start of shift. The volunteer coordinator will also direct you to where you need to report to for your specific role, and there would be a crew member or a maker in charge of that space. So meet that person, introduce yourself to them, and then just ensure that you are aware of what role you need to have. Keep an eye out while you're in the site for bathrooms, ATMs, information booths, way to the MRT exits, first aid station, etc., etc. There's some things that you need to do as well. Code of conduct for volunteers: please be on time, be friendly and courteous, remain in your assigned area until your shift is over or you have been reassigned. Support all your other volunteers. Be flexible, open to change, always ask for help if you need, and stay hydrated. Some of the questions that you may be actually asked by visitors will be things like, where can I find a specific maker? Usually if you have a mobile phone or a tablet, you can actually search the name of the maker in the on the Maker Faire website, and that would tell you the zone where the maker is located, and you can actually direct that person to the specific zone. You may be asked general questions like, for example, where are the 3D printers, or where can I find the robotics project, or where can I find somebody who may be doing something related to sewing. And you would need to know, for example, that somebody with a 3D printer is likely to be in the technology zone. Someone who's doing something related to sewing would be in the crafting area, and so on and so forth, and you can just direct them to the specific zones. You may also wonder what do you do when you have nothing to do. So if you think that the role that you have been given is not quite meaty, look for the person in charge or the volunteer coordinator and tell them that, hey, look, can I reassign? And the volunteer coordinator may either reassign you or may tell you why it is important for you to stay in that space. Sometimes it's important for you to stay in that place because it is relevant for you to answer a specific question that is specific to that space, and if you leave that space, that question may be left unanswered. You have to, after you finish your assignment, report back to the information counter and check out, and this is when you would actually be given your certificate of participation and so on. One of the things you may encounter is lost children or lost parents. And if you do encounter a lost child, please contact immediately the management of security as well as the volunteer coordinator and inform them the child has been found at a given location. Stay with the child. Do not move the child away from where the child has been found, because it's likely the parents might be looking for the child within that area. Stay with the child until one of the Maker Extravaganza staff arrives on scene, and only release the child to the Maker Extravaganza staff member. This is a general rule. This may change if you contact one of the staff members and they may tell you something different, and please follow that. Follow the instructions that is given to you on the date by the staff member. Also, please take note of the location of the first aid station, and as a volunteer, as a crew on duty, keep your eyes and ears open for any potential hazards, and if you see something, report it immediately to one of the management. Here are some information that you may find useful about the Maker Extravaganza as well as the Maker Conference, which you may be asked by visitors, and this would help you to answer them. How can makers participate in the program? If somebody is interested to find out how makers would sign up to showcase, makers can definitely participate. We open a call for makers sometimes in January every year, and they can participate by presenting a booth, a workshop, a talk, or a performance presentation. They can showcase really anything they want to, projects that they have made that involve science, technology, craft, or a mixture of any of these. Student work, school STEM clubs are very much welcome to participate. While we do have vendors selling STEM education products or education programs, the space available for these vendors are limited because the purpose of the Maker Extravaganza is really to promote the idea of making rather than a sale of a specific product. Usually when there is a team that gets together to curate the submissions and to find out who gets admitted into the extravaganza, and the criteria for selection include things like novelty, the alignment to whether their project has a component that is educational, it has something to do with community building and innovation. Makers can take part either as an independent maker, a commercial maker, a vendor, a company, or a community partner, and each of these have specific definitions which are actually in the next few slides. And I will just roughly go through them, but if a maker asks you as a member of the crew about any of these, you can actually direct them to the website, and all the details are actually on the website. So here are some of the things that a maker would do. A maker would be somebody who does not sell their material. They would just be showcasing their projects, and it's completely free for them to participate. They can give workshops and talks and showcase their work, and if they want a bigger space, we are actually able to give them this space completely free of charge. However, makers can also take part as commercial makers. So if you're an indie crafter or indie maker and you want to sell your product, you can. There's a very nominal fee of $50 per booth, which will be charged to take that space. They can take part as a vendor. Remember, those people who are selling products or kits or educational maker projects or so on and so forth, they can actually take part as a vendor or a startup, and they will be charged a little bit more, which is about $200 per booth for 2 days. They can take part as a company as well. Companies will be really established companies which have more than 10 people working with them, and there are very limited spaces for companies to take part in the Maker Extravaganza. Community partners are welcome to be part of the program, and a community partner is really any combination of maker and commercial maker who can curate a minimum of 10 booth spaces or 40 square meters of space. They would, because they are helping us to be content curators, their logo will be placed in the on-site banner, and they will be recognized as a community partner on the website. The organizers of the Maker Fair would work with the community partners to get the best possible location for the community space, and they will be charged if there are commercial makers in the space. They would be charged as per the commercial maker booths that they create. We also have various sponsorship tiers for makers to take part. As I said, there would be there is a call for makers that opens early in the early part of the year and closes by May, and we would be accepting makers and so on and so forth during the space of time. There's also a maker manual that is on the website, which would be shared to all volunteers. It is ideal for you to actually read through the maker manual before you come in as a volunteer in case you get questions. There are a lot of, there's some people you can contact to find out a bit more about this. There's Ms. Charlene Yo and Ms. Fatinisa. You'll be meeting both of them during the Maker Fair itself.